when Trump wins November 7th, it's going to be such liberty and freedom. No more taxes. NESARA and GESARA go into effect. And I'll leave it there. Love you all.
Welcome back from Christmas, everyone. It is Booma, the digital samurai for truth. And it is December 26th, 2024, heading into a Merry, Merry New Year. And I got another digital samurai news for you guys. So that's the whole point of this whole thing, is to try to restore some honor to the truther movement, because I really do think it's been taken over by fake Christians, especially. Last video I did on the NAR, more came out, New Apostolic Reformation being an offshoot of the charismatic movement and some of the reasons why it's not biblical. And then I think it all intertwines with this New Age stuff that we see in this movement. And so we're trying to restore honor, but it really doesn't benefit me anything to keep calling these people out or exposing this stuff. I mean, like, there's not a whole lot of us out here doing this. And so, I mean, I see the whole formula of how you would build a channel on this kind of thing if you didn't have any morals or ethics, which we're finding out the majority of people don't. They sell out for money and all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't benefit me doing this kind of thing. So I hope you guys can appreciate it, because it's not always easy. And this one that I have today is going to be another 1-2 punch for all this NESARA, GESARA stuff, Galactic Federation, and even the white hat stuff. And I've shared a little bit of this on X, but I think I want to do a more thorough, maybe even Substack, where it'll actually be a post. But this is the video version of it. So here on the Rumble, D-Mind, a Booma Rumble channel, another painfully beautiful production, getting into how this is just regurgitated from not that long ago, going back to the early 2000s, a lot of this stuff. So right before we get into that, though, let's have a little bit of fun, because we're going to dig into some stuff that's going to maybe, it's going to even clash with, I think, the Q stuff and the Trump stuff. And you guys know where I stand. I still have my hopes that Trump's going to come in here and he's going to fight the human trafficking and do some various things that he's promised about the cartels and make it a better situation. He's talking a lot about the golden age lately, and that makes me a little uncomfortable because of its ties to the new age. And to me, you can't have a golden age until you get justice. If you're not going to arrest the people that have committed treason or the people that have tried to destroy this country, then there's no golden age. Maybe a golden period. There's no golden age. So we're going to get into some stuff. However, let's have a little bit of post-Christmas remaining spirit, if you will. So I shared this on the Telegram, but I'll go ahead and share. It was so hard. It was so hard to get Lola to actually... There's a little Lola. And that was after like exhaustive amounts of time, like trying to get her to just pose for one picture, Lola. Please just pose for one picture. And I finally got her to chill out, where she stayed just chill because she's like all excited and licking at me and like having all that stuff. And she finally just had a moment where she gave me the shot. And I was like, thank you. Merry Christmas. And as you guys can see, I got a beard trimmer, so I switched some stuff up. So I'm a shapeshifter that way. Between my hair and some of my looks, I can change how I look a little bit. But thank you, Lola, you sweet little butterball. We got plenty of pets in on that. And then I got the other one that I haven't shown you guys yet. I got a picture here of Mr. Winston. There's Mr. Winston. Sweet boy. He was much better about taking the picture. It's almost like these dogs know, though. They know you're taking their picture. And Winston actually, it was really sweet. He just came up and he just wanted to sit next to the boys. So we hung out, and it was a great time. I had a great Christmas, ate amazing food. My sister's an amazing cook, and it was just cool. We just hung out. So I wanted to share that with you guys before we get started into the nitty gritty, because we got some stuff for you. So like I said, after I did that last video, I got other stuff shared with me, learned a few more things, and I think this is going to be necessary to continue bringing this up, whether it's NAR, the New Age, or this fake Christian. You know, they pose as Christians and they all promote Jesus, but they are not at all biblical. From, you know, that last post that I got into, and we'll get into more stuff and reasons why people should be a little bit worried to an extent of where this might actually be going. So I want to get to some websites, order of operation once again, different platforms. Here we go. So this got shared with me, this magical mystery church. Maybe my thing's a little too big. One second here. She's doing a lot of similar work to me, but her own style, and I never even knew about her. And I don't know how long exactly she's been doing this, but she's got 528 videos, so longer than I've been doing it. But so I'll get into this. But she shared some stuff. So what we're going to get into, it's really inspired by and just a couple little pieces from this work, this 5-part series, Wealth Transfer, Waiting for NESARA. It gets into all this stuff and how it is just literally regurgitated from not long ago. So anybody that's still holding out for this stuff, it's going to be a little bit rough, but we've got to do this. We've got to figure out what is true and what's not. I know people want to hear good things and believe good things are coming, but it's not to say that there's not, but at the same time, good things can't come unless we get a more reasonable approach in this whole truther movement. If you care about truth, then that's what we've got to do. And we got to hope that Trump is actually going to take care of a lot of this stuff. Not himself necessarily, but get this administration in there, enact change, and actually go after fake news in all forms. So, Magical Mystery Church, doing amazing work. I watched a bunch of her videos right before Christmas, but goes into some scripture here so you can see, she's a woman of God. The modern church is in serious trouble. It has been infiltrated by wolves. Yes, all over, not just in the truther movement, but all over. We know that. They are purposely leading people astray and into New Age teaching, heresy, and mysticism. Exactly. They have obscured the true gospel of Jesus Christ and dumbed down the church, which largely become biblically illiterate. Their purpose is to prepare the world, including Christianity, to become part of the one world religion and to accept the false Christ. This is a matter of eternal life and eternal death. Now, I've watched enough of her work. She's not a lefty, as she says. She's concerned because a lot of these characters that she's exposing, a lot of the characters that I'm exposing, seem to be connected to Trump, or they seem to be, the Reawaken tours, and you have Trump's, Don Jr. and Eric showing up, and these same characters, Kash Patel, all these guys always going to their freaking Reawaken tours, and they seem to be involved. I thought after Trump maybe won the election because he didn't want to stir up his voter base going into an election, that he would start to expose this stuff, and he hasn't. And then he brought on Kash, and he's done some things where it's like, how long can we keep waiting and keep making excuses for Trump and saying that he's just putting people out in front and that he's just leading up to a mass arrest, mass exposure of these people? Like, at some point, something's not right. Now Trump's talking about this golden age. There is no golden age unless there's justice, unless you cut down on all this, because it could just be here and then gone in a flash. So she's on that bandwagon of not trusting Trump at all, and maybe he's even bringing in and I've posed this before too. So you have the Great Reset and the Great Awakening. That's that duality where one shines the light on the other. The Great Awakening is to shine the light on the Great Reset. But I've done this in past videos too, where it's the false light, and it's to make that contrast and to make people want this Great Awakening even more, but it's the same dang thing. And that's my worry. I hope that's not the case. I hope that that's just something that the cabal is putting out there to make us confused and make us not trust Trump or something like that. But at the same time, how much longer can we go where nothing's been done about the jabs, all the people that have died, various things, and then people that want to argue that Trump's been in charge these last 4 years? I mean, the election's won. The people have made the choice. When is he going to step in and actually do something? Looks like he's just waiting until he can actually be inaugurated. This is the kind of stuff that we have to cut down on. So she made this whole series off of this work, and this is going to trigger some Q people and maybe even some Trump people. But that's why I have this channel. This is a echo chamber, as I've said a million times. This is not an echo chamber. We get to look at the nitty gritty. These people like Patriot Underground and all these tools that are out there telling you that I'll follow the truth wherever it goes. Nino Rodriguez, I'll follow the truth wherever it goes. Bull crap. You will stay in line and you will keep the narratives going. If anything, you're part of a division and confusion campaign. I will, to the best of my ability, search for the truth wherever it goes. And that includes Trump, because I do not worship Trump. I am trying to believe in Jesus Christ to the best of my ability. And it's like, people want to think that only good things are coming. Do you not read the Bible? Like, it's like all these things that happened throughout the biblical times were a lot of times for a large lesson that a lot of people needed to learn. So if you read your Bible, I'm not saying we're at the end times right now. Maybe there is a good period. You know, I don't. People get into the arguments with tribulation, all that kind of stuff. There could be a period of great stuff, but eventually, at some point, all of humanity is going to face the reality that this is a world of deception and a fallen world that is not going to be here forever. Praise God. So anyways, that 5-part series that she did was built off of this documentary. It's called Waiting for NESARA, 2005. Full movie. And so this Zeb guy, let me blow this up a little bit. Perfect. All right, let's bring it in here. Don't get triggered. Let's just read through it. I know a lot of people, there's the QAnon PSYOP. I still at sometimes want to believe that there's the QAnon PSYOP, and then there's still a legitimacy to Q. Whether it got taken over at some point is what I've argued, or what I've delved into on this channel. Let's not get triggered. Whatever this man believes, it is what it is. So Zeb here is saying NESARA was a precursor to the QAnon cult conspiracy theory, and there are some reasons to be concerned about how this very well could be the case. Let's just take a look. This is a documentary I made in 2002 and 2003 about a group of excommunicated Mormons who believed that a secret law called NESARA would be announced imminently. They believed that the World Trade Center attacks on September 11, 2001 were an effort to stall the announcement, and that the pending invasion of Iraq would be another attempt to do so, but that benevolent aliens would intervene and prevent it. And so we're going to get into some of those characters and some pieces from this. And the cool thing that he didn't add any commentary to this. He literally just took all this information about these excommunicated Mormons and this movement back in the early 2000s. It's pretty interesting. And then the Magical Mystery Church made hers with clips from that documentary. So it's kind of nice because he didn't add any commentary to it. He just literally spliced all this stuff together to show what they did at that time and how similar it honestly is. He didn't put anything in there to show you the similarities. He just, I think it speaks for itself, the similarities between that and the Q movement today, or what it became eventually. So don't get all mad at me. Don't get mad at me. So let's get into this. Because I still love the Q people. I still consider myself just slightly Q-tarded, because ultimately I see Q as a catalyst to get people's attention and to try to get us to think for ourselves and to take back control of our consciousness first, our spirituality with God, and then to try to make better in the world and expose all the human trafficking and the Satanism and all the stuff that is literally orchestrating things in this world. But remember, there's a Satanist aspect of it, and then there's the false light Luciferian. It comes in many forms. Satan really doesn't have any new tricks, and that's why this is so shocking about how similar this is to what we see today. It's crazy. So I'm going to get in a couple pieces here. And so this is the part one that I was pointing out, that I had in my notes. So GESARA rejected economic reform proposal turned conspiracy theory. Don't get triggered by the terms, but let's get into this. GESARA refers to a conspiracy theory promoted by Shani, whatever her name is, Shanae Goodwin, also known as the Dove of Oneness. And when I started getting into this, I think of the Dove of Oneness as almost like a Judy Bynington or some of these kind of mysterious characters that you never really see going on interviews, but their work pops up everywhere. So anyways, that all debts will be wiped out in a radical reset of the U.S. economy. It is a reference to the National Economic Security and Recovery Act, a set of U.S. economic reforms proposed in the 1990s. We'll get into who actually started this and whether or not it had any chance to ever go to Congress, which included abolishing compound interest on loans, replacing income tax with a national sales tax, and returning U.S. currency to the gold standard. What does everybody think Trump's going to do? While the proposals were never actually introduced before Congress, conspiracy theorists like Goodwin claimed that they were secretly passed by Congress and then suppressed by George W. Bush in the wake of the 9/11 attacks. So we're going to get into some stuff because I watched that whole series and parts of it twice. It's the comparisons of what people still believe today. Even if you don't think GESARA is coming in, you still think Trump's coming in. He's going to bring the golden age, or he's going to at least put us back on the gold standard and get rid of the fiat currency. We'll see. There we go. All right. Monetary reform proposal. Harvey Francis Barnard, 1941 to 2005, an engineering consultant and teacher with a PhD in systems theory, created the NESARA proposal during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Barnard printed 1,000 copies of this proposal, and he titled it Draining the Swamp, Monetary and Fiscal Policy Reform, 1996, and sent copies to members of Congress, believing it would pass quickly on its merits. Is that not crazy that he called it Draining of the Swamp, and now Trump is always coined as saying drain the swamp? However, this Trump, coming into this term, doesn't even seem like drain the swamp Trump anymore. Is anybody else getting that? How he was just like, we caught them all, we have it all, and then drain the swamp. And then like coming into this one, it's just like no talk of draining the swamp. What's going on? Doesn't even seem like the same Trump. But it's crazy that he had titled it that. So based on a theory that debt is the number one economic factor inhibiting the growth of the economy, and compound interest the number one moral evil and reason for debt, Barnard made several other attempts during the 90s to draw political attention to the problems he saw in the U.S. economy and his suggested economic recovery proposal based on the root causes he determined. After Barnard's efforts to gain political support did not succeed, he decided in 2000 to release his proposal to the public domain and publish it on the internet. Barnard established the NESARA Institute in 2001 and published a second edition of his book in 2005, retitling it Draining the Swamp, the NESARA Story, Monetary and Fiscal Policy Reform. So it never even, we're going to get into some more. It never even went into Congress. It never even had a chance. It was just one guy's idea of something that should be done that would help the economy. But we're going to get into some stuff to think, it's not even a good thing necessarily. So let's get back. I got my little thing here, my notes, NESARA description. Let's get into this. So it came from this, that I will post down below, that it came from the other work that that lovely lady did on, I'm forgetting all the names, Magical Mystery Church. I can't remember her name. Laura? I don't want to, if that's not it, it might not be it. Anyways, from her research, it came from this. And I do want to read this one piece that goes into the Dove of Oneness. Soon after Barnard released NESARA on the internet, so that's the creator of it, a user known as Dove of Oneness began posting about it in forums and eventually created a website devoted to it. Dove of Oneness was later identified as Shanae Candace Goodwin, a former student of Ramtha's School of Enlightenment. Completely new age school. You can look it up. It's nuts. And it's crazy, it ties into all of the extraterrestrial stuff and the idea of this golden age of Aquarius. That's all new age stuff. And yet Christians and a lot of people in the Truther movement still are wanting this. It's almost like we're trying to manifest it into existence, but it's not a good thing, guys. We got to have an understanding more of the Constitution and the ways that things should actually function. Now, the argument is that we don't even have a Constitution or any of that kind of stuff. If you listen to a guy like Juxtaposition, there are no countries, there is no Constitution. It's been done away with. This is all theater. So there's that theory too, or idea. Good, but getting back to this, Goodwin claimed that the NESARA bill languished in Congress before finally being passed by a secret session in March 2000 and signed by President Bill Clinton. So this is the theory that we've heard in this whole movement. And these people that brought this forward, these excommunicated Mormons, they loved Bill Clinton. They thought he was in this, but he was kind of like the good guy. And then George Bush Jr. was the bad guy. So it was you had your figureheads in this, we hate all of them, but we think Trump is against all of them. So it's just a different thing. Their Trump back here at this time, early 2000s, was Bill Clinton. So anyways, this Goodwin, Dove of Oneness, just like Judy Byington and all this kind of stuff today, her theory held that the new law was to be implemented at 10 a.m. on September 11, 2001, but that the computers and the data of the beneficiaries of the trillions of dollars of prosperity funds were destroyed on the second floor of one of the World Trade Center towers in New York City during the terrorist attacks. This is very similar. A lot of this stuff is just regurgitated from this time. But there was no ever reason to ever think that Bill Clinton signed it. It never even got proposed in Congress. It just became on the public. This Goodwin lady who passed in 2010, you'll find, just made this all up, just like all the Gene D. Codes, the Michael J. Codes, the Scott McKays, all these people in this movement. This even goes to Super Soldier Talk. What's that kid's name? James Rink. Gosh, I had to go look it up. Anyways, so it even goes to James Rink and Saint Germain and all this stuff that we hear throughout this whole movement. This is just all built on this Goodwin woman that took something completely out of context and made up a whole bunch of BS to make money, to get donations. Oh, and they all are still carrying it forward. All these people that have pushed this, some of them don't push it so much today, but they all was pushing it. And they were pushing it, as you saw in the intro right before, Roseanne just recently, more recently this year, is still talking about how it's coming. These propagandists and fake conservative lunatics are still pushing this crap to this very day. My goodness. So anyways, supposedly an earlier gag order issued by the Supreme Court had prohibited any official or private source from discussing it under penalty of death. This is all made up. Goodwin referred to white knights. Back then, the white hats were just, the only difference is they were called the white knights. Most of them high-ranking military officials who have since been struggling to have the law implemented despite opposition by President George W. Bush. George W. Bush being the bad guy. Bill Clinton is the savior. Goodwin purported that Bush orchestrated the September 11 attacks and the Iraq War as distractions from NESARA. So Goodwin's description of NESARA goes far beyond Barnard's proposal by canceling all personal debts, abolishing the IRS, declaring world peace, and requiring new presidential and congressional elections, which is a lot of what's pushed still if you believe in this stuff, and whoever it is that is still pushing it. So anyways, Goodwin often claimed that the Bush administration was attempting to hack into and bring down her website to prevent her from publicizing the law. You know how all these guys that talk about how being over the target, and that's just been like a constant thing. Anytime like a website has an issue or there's a technical glitch, it's really just technical stuff most of the time. Or it's purposeful attacks by this freaking CIA to make it look like this. So all the conspiracy theorists think it's freaking legit. You know, the more they suppress something in the conspiracy land, the more we want to believe it. And that's not the case. This has been the same song and dance from years ago. So anyways, this Goodwin lady, she would purport to be connected with powerful officials and used authoritative language, publishing messages in which she ordered the White Knights to enforce NESARA. Charlie Ward being the head of the QFS. You got guys like Gene D. Code early on claiming to have information and a connection to the Q Alliance being sent to him in email and all this kind of crap. These guys, man, they just see any opportunity where this is an option to bring back forward to get people like all excited, because in the excited spirit, people give. You get donations, they buy into your websites, they buy your merch, whatever it is. It's sad, and this is why I do what I do, to help people from going broke and losing their retirement money, and from, unfortunately, like the one gentleman that killed himself because of Phil Godlewski, took his own life. More people probably taking their life. You just don't hear the story, because a lot of the stuff, you know, people that just don't have a lot of social circles, this kind of stuff is their social circle, the people that will believe this, and they just have them online. But you don't necessarily, if someone dies, you don't actually know what happened, or you never heard of them because maybe they were just a username on a. I wouldn't be able to know if somebody just. I wouldn't know if they just left my channel or if they died or something like that. You know, think about that on these bigger channels where these people have been believing all this, and they break themselves, and year after year after year, nothing comes, and they got high credit cards and all this stuff. It's sad. So anyways, getting back to this, Goodwin began commenting on NESARA in connection with Omega Trust, a fraudulent investment scheme whose creator, Clyde Hood, was on trial at the time. According to Goodwin, Omega Trust investors would receive their returns after NESARA was announced. So again, this trust stuff, same thing as the MLMs and the silver stuff. Now, silver and precious metals shouldn't go up. It really should. But I'm saying some of these ones like 7K metals and these gold IRAs that almost all of them push, they're all fraudulent. They all think it's just going to make you tons of money after you lose tons of percentages just getting your money moved into that. So like I'm saying, a lot of the people that are getting hoodwinked by this, elderly and people that just are not real into the internet in the sense of like researching and finding these scams like this. Well, here you go. I'm exposing it. We're going to get into some of the video footage right after this. So Goodwin repeatedly predicted that the NESARA announcement would occur in the very near future. That's what they've been saying forever, and this was back in the early 2000s. Although in later years, she became more reserved in these predictions. A lot of them become more reserved. A lot of them stop talking about it. Gene Decodes and those guys, they don't talk about it as much. Oh, but they bring it up every once in a while to get you excited and keep you thinking about it. Keep your programming going. But it ain't as hardcore as it was in the beginning, because that's how they got everybody's attention. That's how they got everybody to buy in it. Santa surfing, all these fools. Barnard became aware of Goodwin's description of NESARA before his death in 2005. He denied that NESARA had been enacted into law or even assigned a tracking number, and condemned Goodwin's allegations as a disinformation campaign. So the guy that created this admitted this, that it had never ever been enacted into law or even signed and assigned a tracking number to potentially be on the docket, and considered it all disinformation. So Goodwin promoted the NESARA theory until her death in 2010. So we'll get into who that woman was in this shortly. But the guy that created it never got to Congress. It never even got a tracking number to have an opportunity. This Goodwin lady made it all up, because it worked with their idea of the golden age. And this who knows? I don't know if they think about this as being something that could manifest, like I said, the reality it into reality. But people have been trying to think about this for years now, and it's not here. If it does come, though, I'm at the point now, considering that it was never even none of this story is true about Bill Clinton or any of it, and it's been changed. Bill Clinton's clone signed it, or the military forced him to sign it. These are all lies. Fabrications, just BS. So who was it that brought this back? It was these people. These are the excommunicated Mormons who brought this forward, founders of the Open Mind Forum, Jim and Marge, whatever. And they were said to be going all over the world on people's donations to force leaders to sign or to negotiate, signing and announcing, not signed. They claimed Bill Clinton had already signed it, to announce NESARA to the world. They were just going on vacations, just like you see the Wano Savins and the Jacos just constantly flaunting, Phil Godlewski constantly flaunting all of his stuff with all the donations and money he's made off of his followers. They were doing the same thing, going all over the world, claiming to be forcing world leaders to be signing it into law. How did this start back then? When they kicked it back into gear, it started in early 2002, a tiny but curious ad appeared in the Salt Lake City, Utah Free Classified. Oh, right in Utah, right in Mormon country. Isn't that interesting? And then it just started in small groups where people were joining in these small little group sessions with them in Utah, talking about all these made up BS stuff and the Galactic Federation we're going to get into in just a moment. But I'm telling you, man, it just started like that, and the Dove of Oneness started releasing these recordings, and people started going nuts because it sounds great. Everybody's going to finally get the money back that they deserve, because they are taking too much of our money. Our taxes are freaking unconstitutional. But don't believe in this stuff just because. Oh, man. These people have no moral compass. They have no freaking ethics at all. At all. Because then you start seeing stuff like this that I saw early on and that is still floating around places on like Telegram and X. Trump is working with the extraterrestrials. And this was the whole shtick of Gene, is that Trump was working with like, he called it the Galactic Alliance. A lot of people call it the Galactic Federation. Almost everybody calls it the Galactic Federation except Gene, because, he's the one that's 100% right. These fools, man. But they were pushing this, like I'm saying, trade out Trump's picture for Bill Clinton back when Bill and Marge, let's call her Marge, back when old freaking those fools were pushing it. It was Bill Clinton was working with the Galactic Federation. Same song and dance. So let's get into a piece of this and hear from themselves. So this is after they've got those ads out in Utah, and they got people in these small rooms, and it grew. But all you really need is a good little following that believes you so much that they will make sure that all your expenses are paid and that you're getting donations and stuff like that. But let's hear from this fool himself.
This is what we heard happen over in Iraq. As you know, our illustrious president is trying to get us into a war with Iraq against the whole world. The whole world is against it, right? Okay. He's already moved.
And you got the same thing going on right now with Biden. He's trying to get us to go into World War III and all the war. This is him talking about this back when it was Bush Jr. Same song and dance.
Tanks and heavy armored equipment and surveillance teams and all this into the borders around
And we know what
Iraq.
the forces can do to those tanks.
Right. Well, here's what the forces did. Okay. Now, by the forces, I'm talking about extraterrestrial forces. Okay. They took and removed all of the troops up into the ships. They beamed them up into the ships and they left the equipment, and then they disabled all the equipment so it won't work. And then they dropped stone markers, big stone markers with big high letters, saying, "We will return your troops after NESARA is announced." That happened yesterday.
That happened yesterday. They're getting ready to announce NESARA. Judy Biden report. It's coming. Charlie Ward, it's better than I ever imagined. All this fake stuff and built around these good guys and bad guys. Biden bad, Trump good. In this situation, Bush Jr. bad, Bill Clinton was good.
Hello, dear friends and White Knights. It sounds like there is a competition among White Knight groups to see who can get a NESARA announced the soonest. Now that the White Knight leaders in charge of NESARA have learned that there are 3 other plans to get NESARA announced, the White Knight leaders are changing their date. The White Knight leaders are now choosing to do the NESARA announcement several days sooner than they previously planned. The members of the White Knight group who told Pat Sajak to talk about a world-changing announcement this Sunday also have the support of the World Court. The White Knight leaders do not have the ability to stop these other White Knights from getting NESARA announced. Therefore, the White Knight leaders have decided to change their announcement date in an effort to be the ones who get NESARA announced.
So now we're going to hear from Dove of Oneness. You're eventually going to see her here in this deal, but you can see White Knights, same thing as the White Hats. And back then, they're trying to say like all these White Knights were trying to race to give the world NESARA, GESARA. They were racing to do it. It was just right there. Everybody was so excited. It's all a scam.
Who is Dove? I don't think nobody really knows who she is as far as who her real name is, her identity. I know she lives in Olympia, Washington.
She was in the intelligence service, so she has a lot of contacts that trust her.
So this mystery, it's all this kind of stuff on mystery makes it even more alluring. A lot of times in this movement, it's all about their safety and stuff like that. So there's that. We're going to hear from her in just a moment. I thought it was coming up. But right here it says, Sally, coordinator, Open Mind Forum. What was I with Gene Decode? I was a world coordinator. Well, I was a U.S. coordinator in the States. It makes me sick.
She has knowledge of the Faction 1, Faction 2, and Faction 3 in the government and in the CIA, FBI, intelligence circles and governmental circles. But it wasn't until Four Winds 10 started their website that I realized and they started printing it because I never have. I called, I think, one time the phone number, but I didn't have 50 cents a minute to.
Hello, dear friends.
And here you go. So now you're going to hear from the Shanae or whatever Goodwin lady, who's the Dove of Oneness. But they build all of this mystery, all this amazing stuff around this Dove of Oneness. It's the same thing with Gene. He had a death experience, and God sent him back to save the world. And he's here to expose the cabal, and he's got 30 plus years of research in this, and all the martial arts, and his military service, and blah, blah, blah. You build all this stuff around this character. And a lot of it not even being true. Like I said, the depth of the experience is ridiculous. His red line to God is ridiculous. His ability to do remote viewing and all this stuff is hogwash. Same thing with stuff of Oneness. And she just completely made this stuff up, even according to the guy who created NESARA, or the idea of it.
Monday, April 28th. I'm told either the White Knights will announce NESARA today or this evening, or Saint Germain will cause the announcement of NESARA on April 29th.
It was going to happen right then. And then they bring in Saint Germain, who James Rink has pushed a lot. A lot of these people have. But 2002.
In a stroke of financial genius, Saint Germain is doing a legal corporate eviction of the current administration. Truly.
Look at this. So Dove and these people, at that time, were sending it through web pages, email, phone messages, and blah, blah, blah. Today, it's the freaking internet. It's social media. It's Telegram. It's X. It's, sometimes in emails with these people that get email marketing on your butt because you think that this is true. And you start following the Patriot Street Grifter and these fools. Same thing. 107, these dumbasses.
Truly, friends, this is going to ensure that we do see NESARA announced. Our prosperity program deliveries of the first 31 prosperity programs are still due to be in our hands by April 30th. A reminder of whether we receive our funding from His World Trust, which amounts to over our full funding amount. And Saint Germain has zero tolerance for anyone who is anti-NESARA. He's worked for hundreds of years.
Saint Germain has zero tolerance. I've gotten so deep into this stuff with the NESARA stuff because I believed it, It was all about alchemy, Saint Germain, different lives that he's had over time period to get this, to finally bring this. And now they're saying he doesn't want anything to do with anybody that's anti-NESARA. And so anybody that's in it is just like, yeah, because this is the way it should be. Doesn't the world want peace? Doesn't it want to have prosperity?
Years to bring us NESARA's blessings, and He expects us to support NESARA in all we do.
Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Thank you for calling. Goodbye. Give us all your money. Goodbye. This is what we're dealing with here. All right, so who is this lady? Let's take a look. Now, remember, she passed away in 2010, so it is what it is. But she was able probably to make enough money for a while till the end of her days. This is her. Shanae Goodwin, whatever. Let's listen to some of this. This is a little long. I don't want to play the whole thing. But this is like the whole shebang. This is like, and there's still people that think that there's going to be prosperity funds and there are humanitarian projects because they're going to do it for humanitarian, right? And if they're going to have all these med beds, well, you still got to, they have all these ideas of creating all these centers with med beds and stuff. Come on, guys. This is all fabricated stuff. There's no like humanitarian prosperity funds that are going to be given to people based on like them creating some amazing thing. It's all part of the shtick to make it sound more legit. But this is the lady herself.
This is the law of 2000, all right?
Go ahead.
Since President Clinton he's the last president to really sign this into law, am I correct?
Yes.
Well, my question is what kind of a gag order overrides a presidential order?
The U.S. Supreme Court. We have three different pieces of government. We have legislative, executive, and judicial. And we're going to see here that the U.S. Supreme Court has been in, let's leave it there, has been in control of this for over 20 years. And the U.S. Supreme Court were the ones who decided that.
We saw the date when this guy created this. That's a complete lie at this point, in whatever year this actually is that she's saying this. It's crazy how they build these lies. I just don't understand how people can be, such liars, such, and say it with such confidence, and to create such a systematic and in-depth story behind it. I don't get it. What kind of a person just does this? You're just literally taken over by demons or something at this point. They look sane. They sound like semi-sane. I don't get it.
Farmers' cases. If you've read the history on NESARA.us, if you've read the history,
yes,
it talks about how the farmers' lands were being foreclosed on. They became suspicious that there wasn't something was wrong here. How come so many of us are being foreclosed on? And they took it into court. They did some research. They found out fraud was involved. The Federal Reserve System is practicing fraudulent loan practices, and they took that into court, and they found out then going to the government that the government was in complicity with this, and that the banks were in complicity with this, and so they started doing lawsuits. And finally, some of them ended up in the U.S. Supreme Court.
But you have to say that what we're talking about right now, this is all treasonous acts.
Of course, there's lots of treason by our government. We're going to be covering a lot of that today.
Well, amen.
Okay? Yeah, absolutely. They're not doing the right thing. No way. So what happened was the farmers took these cases to the U.S. Supreme Court, and in the meantime, they engaged the support of many of our top military officers.
Military is the only way. I'm not going to listen to any more of it. It's the whole song and dance. Like I said, I might make a Substack and share all of this information on there. But at the same time, you'll find, I found this on the internet myself. But you'll find a lot of that from the Magical Mystery Church work that she did. That YouTube channel that I showed. And I'm going to show her in just a moment. 1 second here. Let me get some stuff. Order of operation right here is driving me nuts. So anyways, that's Goodwin. And she made up this whole elaborate thing. And that's how you sell a story. I don't know if she really thought that maybe that humanity would if the more that you got to believe it, it would manifest into the world, because that's like a new age thing, to believe that whatever you put out into the world is what you're gonna get. I don't get it though, and it's the same thing that's going on today. It's crazy. This is the exact same song and dance today. So what else is happening right now? All of a sudden, Trump is receiving like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Well, this even back then, before this was ever really a thing, started getting into prophecy about something that seems to be leading to the same thing that's the craze right now in this movement, for a portion of it, is XRP, a form of cryptocurrency. And XRP was supposed to be the gold-backed crypto, and then XLM was the silver-backed, and they have this whole thing. But right here, we're going to get into some more of the Kim Clement, who is what? NAR, New Apostolic Reformation. He's a false prophet. He made lots of false prophecies. You don't make one false prophecy if you're actually a prophet of God. It is what it is. I hope that Kim Clement, before he died, repented and is all good with the Lord. I do pray that. But at the same time, a lot of people also take a lot of his prophecies out of context. So it's not even on him. But this is where we go into some of the cryptocurrencies, which is what we are seeing today. So we're going to watch this. This is actually the Magical Mystery Church creator speaking here in the beginning. And so, like I said, I can't remember her name. I feel horrible. Anyways, the financial millennial apocalypse. Now, a lot of people are it's just crazy how it ties to everything, because it's like, this is going to destroy the Fed. The people that believe this is going to destroy the IRS. This is going to destroy the Fed. This is going to bring in gold-backed currencies. And now it's like, well, the cryptos too, because like I heard Gene, after he just demonized all cryptos, because crypt being in the word, not a good word to have in crypto. But now it's like, oh, the good guys got control of it, so now they're accepting of it for the newer generations and the way that money has to work and the quantum finance. They have the new shtick. They just evolve with this lie. It's all lies. Let's get into what she has to say here from the Magical Mystery Church, going into Kim Clement and his prophecy into XRP. And I added a couple things to this edit.
I'm continuing to read the blog post by Daryl Giffen about NESARA GESARA, and this is part 3, the financial millennial apocalypse. This here is a excerpt from this article that's like 18 pages long, and Daryl provided the abstract, and he picked a few excerpts from it. So I'm just going to read the abstract. As a financial technology with a millenarian attitude, cryptocurrencies were bound to produce their own heretics and schismatics, communicating over Telegram channels, conference calls, symbol-laden images, and multi-hour YouTube videos. Believers assert that Bitcoin and Ethereum are the exoteric forms of the hidden chosen one, XRP, a prominent but not industry-leading crypto coin. For those who believe, XRP is one component of a total economic and social transformation under a set of secret laws about to be revealed. Elites would be brought low, believers will become rich, global financial infrastructure will be rebased in a jubilee, and miraculous technologies and beings will be disclosed.
And remember, I have XRP too. I bought some at this time. Like I said, I was big into this. Don't need to demonize yourself for being a part of any of this. Like I said, I was a part of it, and that's why I can relate to a lot of people that are out there that are still believing this. But I'm trying to like deconstruct and get your hopes like back to a baseline realistic level. I have XRP, not a lot of it, but just the excitement alone is probably going to drive things like XRP up. So we'll see what happens. So I'm not saying it's just, don't believe that it's actually going to go up, but they're trying to make it sound like it's the literal backbone, and this was prophesied a long ago by a false prophet. You're going to see.
For many theorists, this monetary apocalypse is part of an explicitly Christian apocalyptic event. In this article, I draw on archives across a variety of formats to explain the evolution of an apocalyptic crypto sect and use these archives to reflect on the context and future of religious imaginaries in the blockchain space. And right here, I'm going to show you a YouTube channel, which I had discovered a couple years ago. I think it's horrible, but it's great if you're doing research trying to find false prophets talking about wealth transfer. So
yes, this is a website on YouTube that you can go to. Anybody that's on this is not to be trusted, in my opinion. It's the same thing with places like Patriot Underground, those kinds of sites. Anybody that goes on there, for me, you're at least questionable.
There's that. And they're all about 2 minutes. But everybody's on here. Now, this guy's making these. He wants everybody to see all the prophetic messages. These are all clips. But you got Kent Christmas and Manuel, whatever, Johnson, I guess. And, Kim Clement. And look, the XRP. Yeah. There's Hank. Dana Coverstone. But if you go to I don't know if you know how to do this. I'm going to give you a little lesson. When you're on videos, you can go to the oldest and you can see like their first videos. But it's just all these guys. There's Lois, and they're just all talking about all this cryptocurrency stuff. It's weird. It's really weird.
Seeing this whole course, I'm seeing God doing it right now, where it's the source of energy is very important for.
So here he goes. This is where they're using Kim Clement. Whether he meant XRP or not, that's in question. What God said about this. I added this. Kim Clement admits he's a false prophet. I'm going to have these links down below. I've shared them a lot. Back when I covered Kim Clement, I got a lot of pushback, so I was sharing these things, and you'll see the reason why. But that's some of the addition that I added to this video, and you can read it there on the screen. You can pause and take a look, but I will link to these down below this video so that more people can understand that he even promoted Obama as God's man at one point. Come on, people.
People are listening all over the world, and I had 2 clues, which I'm going to give you one today. Okay? I'm going to give you one clue now, which I haven't spoken of yet. You ready, Mr. Codebreaker?
Oh, here it is.
Because I'm the code maker. And then the other one is the tree, the oak tree, which is a symbol which people have been researching, not yet revealed. But people are researching out there because it's a puzzle. God won't give us everything because it's not the right time. But something starting with an X, and it has a P in it, is a very profound something that's going to be worth investing in. And I can't say the whole.
And he was part of Project Stargate. You get into a little bit of that, I think, in this series. He was part of Project Stargate, likely completely CIA. So do they feed this stuff to people like Kim Clement, Julie Greens, Amanda Grace? Do they feed this kind of stuff to make it, seem like they're prophesying when really they're just being fed the intel by the CIA? Whether they know it's the CIA or not, I don't know. Or they have handlers that are feeding this, or maybe they're MK Ultra and they're being fed this. I don't know. That's what's in question.
I think because I don't know it. But I had a dream, and I saw an X, and I think there may have been a number and something else, and then P. Now, I'm only giving you what I prophetically hear. Otherwise, I could be accused of representing a company, which, of course, they could take me to court on that, but I'm not going to That's what I'm hearing, and most people know I hear things by the Holy Spirit, and I just say it. And so it's a prophetic thing, this. But it's also giving signs to the people that it's the time for the release of this new source of energy.
And God wants you to know what it is, so you can invest in it and make money.
Of this new source of energy.
What I hope to convince of, then, is that an idiosyncratic and syncretic creation of a kind of spiritual infrastructure can be seen in the NESARA GESARA belief system. To present this, I start with the history of NESARA GESARA as a belief system, its adoption into different conspiratorial communities, the role of its increasingly prophetic interlocutors, and the emergence of its antagonists and antithesis in the Great Reset. Then, once I have laid out the whole of the belief system, I clarify the role of the ratcheting millennial creep and the technological miraculous, and close with a reflection on the present and future of the movement.
So there you go. You hear from her herself, that breakdown, Kim Clement, false prophet, talking about what seemed to be XRP, an investment opportunity, some new energy onto the planet. If some of this stuff comes into place, man, it freaks me out, man. I hope Trump's not involved in this. But how much longer are we going to wait and say, like, oh, he's just putting them out front? There better be justice, man, before any of this stuff comes in. And so just because this is like the capper off, this will be the end, last little share here. Bill Cooper came in and got this guy on a radio show and told him what he thought of this whole thing. And a lot of the people that would promote this stuff would pretend or act like they support Bill Cooper. But here you go. You're going to find out what Bill Cooper thinks of this whole NESARA mess.
I will link the documentary below. You should definitely check it out and watch the rest of it. It's about the last 30 minutes. But here's like a 2 or 3 minute clip with this NESARA guy and William Cooper on the phone. Thanks for watching or listening.
Bill, your turn. You got 10 minutes. At least use it wisely.
I always do, Sherlock. You know that.
Okay.
I'd like to ask your guest, you say you believe in the Constitution of the United States?
Absolutely.
Explain to me how an act of where all the government resigns is in compliance with the Constitution.
That's a good question, Bill. That's a really good question. Basically,
it's not there, is it?
What isn't there?
The ability of forcing all of the government to resign. There is procedure spelled out in the body of the Constitution, Section 1 and Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, that tells how anyone that resigns, or if they kick somebody out on, like they did Traficant, then there is a procedure they have to follow. Another thing, if Alan Greenspan was to be the one to announce it, isn't Alan Greenspan the mouthpiece for the group, the Federal Reserve, that you guys hate so badly? And you're claiming that he is going to be the one that announces the change?
Yes, it was all built on this Alan Greenspan thing. So Bill Cooper's just challenging him and ripping apart their theory at the time. And it's evolved, like I said, with some of these new characters today. But you're going to get exactly what Bill Cooper thinks here. And he's just kind of ripping it apart, this idea that they had where Alan Greenspan was going to bring it forward and that all the Congress was going to have to resign, all this kind of stuff. And he's saying it's not even constitutional.
And they blow up 2 towers, kill 3,000 people to muffle that announcement. Why couldn't they just say, whoops, Greenspan's in the hospital, he's had a stroke? And that.
So Bill Cooper's just like, no. And he called out Osama bin Laden, the BS behind that, and that something was going to happen when 9/11 happened. He called that out. Alex Jones takes credit for it, but he got it from Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper called that out, but he's saying there's no way that they would murder all those people and cause all this calamity just to stop NESARA from coming forward. That's ridiculous to Bill Cooper.
Would delay it any time that they wanted to.
Well, I think your view is very narrow and very.
My view is not narrow. My view is in compliance with the Constitution. Your view is out of compliance and therefore a criminal act.
A criminal act. Bill Cooper is calling him to the carpet hardcore and saying that what you are proposing is literally, when you line it up to the Constitution, a criminal act.
Okay, Bill. Well, thank you for your
No, my
comments.
10 minutes isn't up yet. This is too long.
You got about 6 more.
Okay. Well, let me just say this, that you're looking at things the way they're supposed to be as a constitutional republic. It is actually being restored to the original Constitution.
By whom?
By the White Knights.
Who are they?
The White-
Is that the White Knights of Columbus?
That's pretty cute, Bill. No, the White Knights basically are a coalition of people in our government. A lot of military people.
Your
Speak
10
for
minutes
you.
are up there, Bill. We got to go to the next caller.
I'll leave on this note.
I'll leave on this note. Hang up. Click. That's what Bill Cooper thinks of NESARA. That whole idea back then. And you never hear anybody talking about that. They all want to push Bill Cooper as being this amazing patriot and stuff like that. But yet they're following along with all this unconstitutional, criminal behavior, according to Bill Cooper, when he's looked at the idea of this NESARA, GESARA, and the whole idea that they covered up over 9/11. All false, according to him. And from what all I can tell, even the guy that created the NESARA plan that never even got to Congress, never even got a tracking number. It's all disinformation and bogus, and built off of that Goodwin lady, who's now passed. But always people have readily picked up the torch and pushed that scam through this truther movement so hardcore. And those are the kind of things I don't understand why Trump doesn't have people in this movement, if he cares about fake news, cutting down on the disinformation and making it clear that he has nothing to do with any of that stuff if he ain't a part of it. I'm not saying that that's an absolute, but I'm saying those are some of the things that I'm weighing, like why? Why has it been allowed for people to push the idea that he's still commander-in-chief? Is it his job? No, it's not Trump's job necessarily. But he created, in a lot of ways, this monster that has become this huge conservative alternative media beast. And I just think that there's more responsibility that should be had when it comes to cutting down on this kind of misinformation and disinformation. Alas, I don't know all what is taking place, but you see the similarities there. Bill Cooper calling hogwash on it. He even retracted a lot of his takes on various things when it came to aliens and stuff at the end. Maybe at some point I'll get into that in some of his later stuff, because he saw a lot of what was being pushed as being CIA or propaganda or military industrial complex kind of disinformation, misinformation, if I'm getting my understanding right on Bill Cooper. Because this Galactic Federation stuff was working so well, they started pushing those kinds of things out there. What is true and what's not true about aliens, I don't know. But I think that he was giving a warning about a lot of that near the end before they took him out. So I'll get into some of that perhaps at a later time, because I love Bill Cooper. And I think this information is super important, especially when it comes to all the misinformation, disinformation being pushed today. I hope you all enjoyed your Christmas. We'll wrap her up here. But more to come. And like I said, it doesn't really benefit me a lot coming up against this beast of so many people believing this. I get attacked plenty doing the work that I do, but I think it's important because I care about truth. I'm not a guy like Bill Cooper. I don't know the whole Constitution, and I don't have that. He just had a certain spirit about him that was so powerful for truth and for justice and for people to wake up and take back the power that they have given to us by the Constitution. And I hope that I can just help bring forward more people maybe that do have more of that spirit. I have my thing. I do this the best that I can, given my circumstances, but I want to restore honor to this truther movement, and that's what I'm attempting to do. So God bless you all. I look forward to catching you, as always, on the next one. Peace.